Salut, David Wallman here. Today I'd like to answer a question that I've been asked on YouTube, and that question is, how can you build chord progressions that are going to work specifically over a certain mode? In order to answer that question, we need to define what a mode is. A mode is simply put a scale, a series of notes that differ in pitch from each other that are organized into a certain system. It's that system that's going to differentiate one scale from the other. If all scales have the same system, there would be just one scale. Let's consider diatonic scales, 7-note scales. In order to compare several modes from each other, we're going to bring them to the same key. All these modes are going to start from the same note. That note is called the root. That root is going to give us the bass line. All the other notes that are going to be heard in the chords are going to be measured according to that bass note. So let's start with the bass note. We'll work in the key of A. We're going to simply record a series of A's over our drum loop, which is going to give us the bass line of our modal chord progression. Now that we have our bass line, we're going to add some chords on top of that, which are going to give us the formula of the mode that we're working with. The idea here is to pick the appropriate notes that are going to give you the characteristic sound of whichever mode we're working with. Let's start by classifying these modes according to the chord they're going to work with. We're going to work with triads, 3-note chords, root, third, fifth. We'll find that some modes are going to have a root, minor third, perfect fifth, Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian. Other modes have a root, major third, fifth, Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. And then there's the Locrian mode, which is a little bit different. It has a root, minor third, diminished fifth. This means that if I have a chord with a root, major third, fifth, and I stack it on top of my bass line, I could be an Ionian, Lydian, or Mixolydian. In the same way, if I add on top of my root a minor triad, root, minor third, perfect fifth, I could be in Dorian, Phrygian, or Aeolian. Now, if I added on top of my bass the triad corresponding to the Locrian, which is root, minor third, diminished fifth, I'm in Locrian. There's no other mode that share that weird triad. Because there is more than one mode that's going to work with a major or minor triad, I need to classify these modes a little bit further. These notes are called characteristic notes. Those are the notes that are really going to define the color of a specific mode. For the Ionian mode, we're going to have two, the perfect fourth and the major seventh. The Lydian mode is going to be the augmented fourth. In the Mixolydian mode, the minor seventh. For the Dorian mode, the characteristic note is the major sixth. The Phrygian mode, the minor second. For the Aeolian mode, we're going to have two characteristic notes to really differentiate that mode from the two other minor modes. Those notes are major second and minor sixth. And the Locrian is a part. The characteristic notes of the Locrian mode are already included in the triad, root, minor third, diminished fifth. Now that we classified our modes by triads and characteristic notes, we can simply add these special notes on top of our steady bass line. That's going to give us the color of the mode. Let's pick the Dorian mode. We've got a steady bass line in A. I'm going to add to that bass line a minor triad. If this is all we have, we don't know if you're in Dorian, Phrygian, or Aeolian. Now I'm going to add a second chord to that. It's going to include the characteristic note of the Dorian scale, which is going to be the major sixth. And this is a modal chord progression in the key of A Dorian. We have an A minor triad followed by an A minor triad with the major sixth. There's a lot of different combinations possible as long as you remember how to classify these modes and as long as you're aware of which notes make a mode different from the other. Now that you have the knowledge, you need to apply this on your instrument. Always work with backing tracks. That's going to help you differentiate one mode from the other and really hear the color of a specific mode. I've got a special package for you available on my website, davidwallman.com. 7 backing tracks, 7 modes, all starting in the same key. Those backing tracks are going to help you hear the color of the specific mode. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for your interest in these videos, and thanks for your questions. If you have any questions on this topic, or if you would like me to cover something else, leave a comment right underneath. Practice well, Always review the concepts that you're learning and try to apply them to your instrument. Be patient. Have fun. Until next time. Salut.